Coach, when you get a young kid like Basha just playing, here at home, preseason game, first game kind of at the Dome for him with the Flames, how do you treat it with him kind of thing?
Just kind of the same as anybody else, I guess. I mean, we have him on a power play unit that's got some pretty good players on it for tonight, and you could see this morning he had a tendency to want to pass all the time instead of shoot, which I totally understand. But it's pretty exciting for him, and the thing that we like about Bash is he's done a really good job right from day one of our prospect camp. And he's continued to get better every day. So in Penticton, you notice the puck would kind of follow him around, or he was always around it, however you want to put it. So we're looking forward to seeing him in the lineup tonight and seeing what he can do.
He talked this morning about not being too starstruck, and he said, it is surreal, but I have to kind of stay.
Yeah.
Have you seen evidence that he's sort of managed that balance?
100%. Like for a Calgary kid, this would be a ridiculously cool. To be able to play in here with some of the guys that he's grown up watching play. The first time I saw it was on the power play this morning. But then he smiled. He said, I know, I get it. So I think that's kind of what it's all about. But then it's getting him to understand that he's a really good player too, and that's why he's there. So we want him to just play his game and enjoy it tonight.
You laid out the expectation for a younger group yesterday. Now that you have some more of the veterans kind of getting their first opportunities of the preseason, does the expectation change? Is it very similar messaging?
It's the same. Sometimes with older groups, there's a tendency for them to ease themselves into it, and you understand it. It takes them a little while to get the engine going. So in regards to the puck touches or how they're handling the puck or maybe some of the reads, that could be a little off. We get that. But what we want to see is what we saw last night. There was a real commitment to the work away from pucks by that team that we had in Seattle last night. And I think it was a really big reason why we won. So that's what we have to work on establishing every day. So it'd be nice to see the older guys follow suit tonight in both cities for us.
Talked about Matthew Coronado having to earn his place. I mean, certainly a nice start yesterday.
I thought Matthew was excellent last night. He was assertive, and he, to me, looked like a guy felt like he could control the game last night. So when you watched our game, there's a few people. Matthew was one of them. Grush was another guy in the back end that jumped out to me. So there was a lot of really good efforts last night. But as I said about Matty, it seemed like he felt like he could be a guy that could really impact the game last night, and that was different in a lot of ways from what we saw last year, and part of it's due to having a really good summer. He came back in great shape again, and he wants to make our team.
And the media is always going to probably ask more about the defense prospects who've had 90 or 100 points, but can you speak to the importance of sort of developing guys that fit your top goal as well, and what that means moving forward?
Nowadays, I feel like all defensemen are very similar. The young guys that are coming up, they all have a skill set that they can make plays. They all have good feet. They can all move. Some guys are more dynamic than other guys, and you can look at some of the young guys that we have, Hunter and Zane, Jeremy. They're dynamic. Grush, he still has the offensive ability, but he's really dialed into how he has to play at a higher level in the NHL. And he knows he trusts his feet right now, so he really tries to play tight gaps. He tries to be a hard guy to play against. So if you have a lot of people like that understand that, Jesus, there's got to be a way for me to get into the NHL, he looks at it, I'm going to be a really pain in the rear end to play against. And another guy that we're pretty proud of, because he spent his whole summer here. He worked hard with our trainers this summer, and he made sure he was ready to come and play. So for me, that's why he's had success early on. He's put the time in, and even when you watch him in practice, our players are like, why is this guy always in my face? But it's something that we love to see, and hopefully he'll be able to continue as we keep playing games.
Sounds a little bit like Pospisil early on too, with that in-your-face
practice. A little bit, and we saw it last night in Seattle. I mean, late in the game, he finished a check on McCann, and it's just the way he is. I mean, he's just playing the game hard, and we quite like that about him.
What can people expect to see I know Lombard was here before, but he's probably a slightly different player than he was when he left.
Yeah, I think you'll see a more polished, mature player. I remember when he was here the first time, there was him probably like running around and trying to have impact or finish a hit or try to fight some at every shift. I think he understands now that there's a time and a place for all that stuff. He's going to use his speed to try to pressure defensemen into mistakes where the team can capitalize on. I think that's what you're you're going to see a lot more out of him. I think it's just a greater understanding of the overall game and what he needs to do to bring success.
Hunter had a couple of points last night. From rookie, those scrimmages in Penticton to last night were areas of growth for him.
I feel like he's been good from the start of prospect camp. When you first start off, the pace is a little bit higher than the summer, of course. Took a little while for them to get going in Penticton. First couple shifts for him last night were a little bit the same, but then he adjusted to the pace. I've been really pleased with how he's played and practiced so far overall. So I don't really have a lot of complaints about his game as of now.
Ryan, you talked last week about how proud you were for his results. I'm curious, we're going to be talking about him close to 1,000 games in a few weeks. What have you seen in terms of determination to make sure that the age is sort of just a number at this point?
I think he's always kind of, over the last number of years since I've been around him, that fitness thing's been in his head. I think that's one of the reasons why it's allowed him to play for as long as he has. But I see a really driven guy right now, and I know since he got the captain on his chest last year, he takes things personally, whether that be his play or how the team's playing. I think it just gives him that much more push from behind to make sure he's doing everything he can possibly do to set the right example for our team. And I think that's really what it's come down to. He understands where he is career-wise. I mean, he's not saying he's got 10 years or anything like that left, so I really think that he feels what he does on the ice, away from the ice, really matters because he knows it sets the right example for a lot of people. And I think that's part of the legacy that he wants to leave.
With the rosters for tonight, it seems like there's a good mix of NHL sort of vets and young guys on each. What went into just sort of who's going where?
Age a little bit. Sometimes, like Michael, there's a situation where we weren't going to make him go up to Edmonton and play the day of the game. Other than that, we have lines that we want to see, and we didn't want to play them all in one place, of course. So with the split squad game, you send different guys different places.